And welcome to another Finimize live event. We've got a very interesting topic for you today with an amazing guest joining us today as well. So I'm Reda, Finimize analyst, and good to be here and welcome everybody today to today's event. Sit back and let your crypto do the work. So I'm just going to quickly run through some housekeeping rules before we get started, and then we're going to get going. So first of all, please introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello, where you're tuning in from, and be sure to switch the message to all attendees. Otherwise, no one else will be able to see your message. Second of all, this is going to be a 15-minute conversation with our guest today, and then we'll have 15 minutes for Q&A at the end so that our guest can answer your questions. And that takes me to my third point. Please put your questions in the Q&A box in this webinar. Put your questions to Fabrice over there. And if you see a question that you like, be sure to upvote it as well. That way we can get through first the most upvoted questions and make sure we answer all your pressing questions. So today we're partnering with Ledger, really the best company to talk about today's topic. And if you guys don't know Ledger, I really recommend you check them out. So they are the leader in keeping your digital assets secure. Check out also Ledger Live, which is really the best product to use when starting your crypto journey. You can buy, sell, exchange, stake, or lend your crypto all in Ledger Live with the security of their Ledger wallet. Michelle will drop a link to the chat right now so you can check them out. So let's kick things off. Today we are here with Fabrice Dautriat, Head of Coin Integration at Ledger. Fabrice, it's great to have you with us. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Reda, for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. We're also very excited. So let's kick things off. So look, for everyone out there, instead of just, I guess, holding on to dear life with your crypto, perhaps a better investment strategy is to have your crypto work for you to earn even more crypto through staking. So Fabrice, perhaps we can just take a step back and maybe you can explain to us what is staking exactly and how does it differ to mining?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. You see staking everywhere right now. It's very trendy. Indeed, a good way to approach the concept is really to try to take a step back and focus on mining first. So originally, the first blockchains were based on something that we call proof of work. What does proof of work mean? In short, it's a way for miners, so entities or individuals or companies, to compete with each other to try to make a block on the blockchain. The way they compete with each other is by using resources, and these resources are energy and specialized hardware. So the good thing is you are sure that the network is secure because all these companies are competing with each other and there is only one that will win to make the next block. The drawback is that you need to consume a lot of energy, you need to create specialized equipment. It's a fairly complex system, and eventually you have these big mining pools that takes a big percentage of the mining power. Right now there is this concern also around being more healthy for the planet, let's say. So Bitcoin is boiling the ocean here, and proof of stake is a different way to approach the same problem. How can we make a blockchain network secure, but without having this competition between miners? And so the way I would present proof of stake is kind of a lottery system. You have to imagine that instead of having miners with specialized equipment, you have miners, but in that case, they are called validators. And these validators, they have lottery tickets. They have 1, 10, 1,000, maybe more lottery tickets. These lottery tickets are actually tokens, money from the underlying network. So for instance, on Polkadot, the currency is the DOT token. And so validators have some DOT tokens. The more tokens you own, the more chance you have to be the one selected to mine the next block. The good thing is now you don't need to compete with each other because it's kind of a lottery mechanism. The network will select the lottery tickets randomly and say, okay, who has it? And if you you are the one selected, you can mine the block, and therefore you earn the reward contained in that block. And if you have not so much lottery ticket, then okay, your probability is lower, but still you can participate. And it's really a game theory, because now if you own a lot of lottery ticket, which is really the currency of the system, in fact, you don't have any incentive to damage the network. Otherwise, you would be damaging your own wealth as a validator. So really, proof of stake and proof of work are two different approach to the same problem. And I would say right now the trend is going more to proof of stake. We have a lot of new blockchains that are working on that. And okay, we'll see where it goes. I hope this kind of answers the question.
No, it definitely did. I think that made it super clear. So I guess in proof of work, you're investing in the hardware and the computers and so on, but in a proof of stake, you're investing in the cryptocurrency itself, right?
Absolutely, you can see it this way. And one additional thing I could add, because staking is a nice word, but if you want to be really accurate, as a user or as a cryptocurrency holder, I'm usually not staking. What I'm actually doing is I'm delegating my lottery tickets to someone who will actively stake. Okay, the same way on Bitcoin you have miners doing blocks. On proof of stake networks you have validators making blocks. So they have this infrastructure. It's a way lighter infrastructure because they don't need specialized equipment. They can basically run it on standard servers, but they still need it. And if you're not an expert, well, it's still a problem to run this kind of setup. So usually what people do is they have their own currency and they delegate it to professional validators. So when we talk about staking, I would say let's be careful. You have stakers, active professionals that run the underlying program to secure the blockchain, and you have holder that will delegate their stake to validators. So that's, I would say, maybe a short summary, or maybe I'm taking some shortcuts, but it's a good way to express it.
No, that's definitely a great summary, and I think I take from that, especially your points earlier about the impact on the environment, is that staking is perhaps a much more energy efficient way to keep the whole blockchain secure than mining. So you touched on Bitcoin, and you touched on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. So to me, I take it that Bitcoin works under proof of work and under the mining model. So my question to you, Fabrice, is which coins currently work under proof of stake, or if I can ask this differently, which cryptocurrency coins can I stake today, basically?
Yeah, so many, actually a lot. I will just quote a few, but Cardano is one quite famous. They have a strong community. You have Polkadot, you have Cosmos, you have Tezos, and a lot of others actually. But right now, what's interesting also, you have Ethereum, which is the second biggest cryptocurrency, which is moving from a proof of work mechanism to a proof of stake mechanism. So there is this transition in progress right now. Essentially what's interesting here is all these different projects, they are all using the proof of stake principles, I would say, but there are always minor tweaks between the projects. They are not exactly using the same principles. They don't have exactly the same rules. So each time it's a different project that you have to carefully study, because it's not always without risk, and it's not always great reward. So it's really, I would say, a study that you have to make project per project.
That takes me beautifully to my next question, Fabrice, because I wanted to ask about returns and rewards. So basically, what sorts of returns can crypto holders expect to make through staking? And also, what are the risks involved?
Okay. Let's go back to proof of work for a second, and I'll take Bitcoin as an example. It's the biggest one, and usually people can relate to it a bit. Bitcoin has a limited supply. Let's imagine that the proof of stake system has also a limited supply. It's possible. In practice, it's usually not the case. Each block that is created on the proof of stake system will create new coins, coins of currency of this network. And the validator, so the miners on proof of stake, will earn these coins. Now, remember this delegation mechanism. So let's assume you, Rita, you have a lot of lottery tickets, a lot of coins, and you don't know how to make them work for you. Basically, what you can do, you can delegate either all your stake or just a part of it to me, who runs a validator infrastructure. What I will do with your lottery tickets, I will just, have them here. I cannot spend them. Okay, cryptographically it's secure, but I have the right to use them to be part of this lottery mechanism. And if I win, because now I have more lottery tickets, I will get the reward, but I will share a portion of this reward with you. So usually you can expect something like, okay, the validators will receive 100% of the reward from the network. And from this 100%, they will redistribute something like 80 or 90% to all the people who delegated to them. So in the end, the validator is always taking a cut because he has to run his own infrastructure and make a profit. But you as a holder and as a person delegating, you also earn some rewards. Just keep in mind that you earn reward in the basic token from the network. So it's not guaranteed, okay? First of all, if the value of the token just goes down or crashes, well, okay, you earn some reward, but in the end, you're still losing money. On the opposite, if it goes up, yes, it goes up, plus you earn reward, so you're winning double times. For the risk, I would say it really depends on the network. Some networks, you have no risk, okay? You can delegate to me and that's fine. Nothing can happen. You can go away with your money whenever you want. Some other networks, okay, you can delegate to me, but when you want to retrieve your money, you have a waiting period. So sometimes it's something like 28 days. And finally, some really complex network are doing something called slashing, where you delegate to me. And if I am doing something bad for the network, I lose money. But because you delegate it to me, you lose money as well. So, that's really when you handle this staking mechanism yourself, you have to be careful to really study all the different rules from the underlying blockchain.
I take it from that perhaps the biggest risk and the one to look out for is who you select as your validator. Exactly.
It's a fair point. And that's probably what validators are competing for. Their image on the market is fairly important. You want to be seen as a successful validators who don't miss blocks, who is always providing rewards, and who is respected by the communities. This is something very important. So if you go back to proof of work versus proof of stake, miners compete for energy, whereas validators may be seen as competing for I would say visibility and maybe not the right wording, but they need to be seen as correct and integrity, let's say, on the market.
No, that makes perfect sense. And that actually takes me to my final question, Fabrice, which is, okay, so how do you go about, selecting these validators? Or let's take a step back and let's say I wanted to start staking. How should I start doing that? Any recommendations of resources, platforms, etc., tools, and anything else you can think of?
Yeah. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, are you the one handling your own keys? In crypto, we say not your keys, not your coin. So if you own your own keys and if you are the one making transactions on the blockchain, well, when you do a staking transaction, you have to do it yourself. So for instance, Ledger offer this possibility where you select your own validator through Ledger Live, you sign your own transaction, and at every step of the way, you are responsible for your actions. Some other platforms are basically in control of your funds. So they do everything for you behind the scene. And maybe some of them will let you select the validators, but most of them will not. They will just tell you, okay, you earn 8% of reward, but we take care of all the complexity. So in the end, it's really a matter of what do you think is important? Do you want to have your own freedom to select with the risk associated with it, or do you want simplicity? So on my side, I'm familiar with Ledger Live, which is obvious because I work for Ledger. But all the major platforms out there offer a kind of staking service.
Amazing. Awesome. That was super useful, Fabrice. Thank you so much. We have a lot of questions coming in through the Q&A. So let's now jump to the Finimize community Q&A. So I'll start off with the most upvoted one. Comes from Stevie. What has caused the recent crash on all cryptos, and how long could we expect this to last?
Okay, that's a good question. So unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that. There are many things we're seeing on in news and crackdown in China on Bitcoin miners for whatever reason. I actually don't know, but probably a lot of FUDs. Maybe the price was also a little bit too high, and there was maybe a bit of speculation earlier. What is clear is the market, the crypto market is kind of evolving always together. Okay, when everything goes up and when everybody is FOMOing, yeah, it's to the moon time. But now it's kind of okay. We are in a little period of calm, I would say, and people don't know exactly what will happen. My personal opinion is still the same. I'm still very bullish on this technology as a whole. But yeah, it may take time. Remember 2 years ago, we were in a total crypto winter market and it lasted 2 years. So I think whatever you think is important, always be cautious. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, because who knows. But in the end, if you see it as a long-term investment, I wouldn't be too much worried.
That's amazing. And the one thing I'll perhaps add on why China's cracking down is because China is actually, one of the reasons I think is it's developing its own digital currency. So it's the central bank digital currency. And that gives the Chinese central bank a lot of power. And obviously, as a Chinese government, you would want to push and promote your own digital currency, right? As opposed to a competing one, crypto, that you cannot control. So I think I can understand the government's incentives, and perhaps that gives some color into why China's cracking down.
I agree with you, Reda, and I would add, okay, this is the government and CBDC approach. There is also just the trend. Okay, everyone is now talking about how Bitcoin is really boiling the ocean, spending a lot of energy and everything. Do you really want to be seen as the country hosting a lot of Bitcoin mining? Is it really good when you want to be seen as a country doing everything for the planet? So there is also, I think, a question of perception and image. So who knows? Maybe this will be just a small trend. Maybe this will last. We'll see.
We've got Elon Musk to thank for that image.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so our next question comes from Phil, and he's asking, please, could you summarize the benefit of Ledger Nano X versus the Nano S?
Yeah, more size, more applications installed at the same time on your device. So this is not really necessary, because you can always uninstall and reinstall application without any risk of losing your funds, but it's more convenient. Plus Bluetooth, you can now use it with your mobile. You can also do this with the Nano S, but I think it's not working yet on iOS device, only Android. So I would say, to me, the convenience of having more memory is really what makes the difference between the two products.
Amazing. So we have our next question from Alex, and he's asking about the Ledger wallet. So I have a lot to learn about, but could you tell me why a physical crypto wallet is better? Sorry, keep on moving. Better than just having a software-only alternative? It's
a fair question. Anything can be hacked. Let's start with that. It's fairly important to realize anything can be hacked. With the proper set of tools and times, patience, money, and effort, you can break anything. Now, it's way easier to hack or break a software wallet than hack a device, first of all, which is not always connected, and that is specifically designed to handle this kind of attack. So having a hardware wallet, Ledger or another one, is first of all a great added value to just ensure the security of your private keys and of your funds eventually. Now, Ledger is known for using a specific type of chips inside the hardware wallet that is highly secure, and so you have, I would say, this double protection of, first of all, you are segregated from the internet, so it's better, and second of all, you have dedicated hardware and chips to secure your private keys.
Awesome. Thank you, Fabrice. Our next question comes from Kritika, and she is saying, I am a bit new to trading and investing. I just want to ask, what should be my first step if I want to start learning technical analysis of coins so I can invest wisely?
Okay, I'm not a finance expert, so for technical analysis, curves and support and resistance and things like that, I'm probably not the right person to answer. But one answer I could do is in anything that you want to invest, it's always good to understand a bit more the fundamentals. I'm more a technical person, so the way I would handle things would be from the technical angle. I would look at how things work and what problems they are trying to solve, and then invest more long term. But honestly, I cannot answer this question around the graphic chart analysis.
So Fabrice, maybe I can ask a follow-up on that. So what do you look at when analyzing a coin? Like what are you looking at fundamentally or under the hood? What do you want to see that makes you say, oh, this is a good coin potential?
Okay. I think you have two main categories. You have all the assets are trying to be smart contract platform where you can have code that is executed automatically in a decentralized way. So that's kind of what Ethereum and a lot of others are doing. And you have blockchain that want to be store of values like Bitcoin. So first of all, you have to select one of the two. And then when you look at those, for instance, who are focusing on smart contract, then you try to find which one is either the most decentralized or the faster or the cheaper, the more secure maybe. And so you have to make some trade-offs because no one is perfect. No, not a single solution is perfect. Otherwise we would have a winner already. And so essentially it's, I would say it's kind of like football teams. In the end, you select the one that you really feel is the best.
Amazing. Okay, and our next question comes from Phil. So he's asking, is this lottery staking system different from earning interest on your crypto via compound?
Yes, it's different. So I will try to explain why. With staking, first of all, you could ask the question, am I actually earning money with staking? What you're earning is a percentage of the new coins being created by the network at each block. So what you're doing is you're actually avoiding dilution, okay? Whereas when you put your money on compound, you lend your money. Like if you were a bank, I'm just saying, okay, Rita, here is $1,000. I gave it to you, but you need to return to me 1,100. So putting money on compound is really like a banking system where you are the lender or the borrower. Staking is really having some skin in the game, we say, to secure the network and be rewarded for it. You can do both, actually. You can stake and also for a different system, put some money on compound and let it. So the two systems to me are very different and so not exactly comparable.
That makes perfect sense. So the next one is from Phil again, asking some very popular upvoted questions today. So my understanding is Cardano uses point of stake rather than proof of work. Does Ledger plan to support Cardano/ADA, which I don't know personally?
No, it's the ticker of the currency. So it's an excellent question. It's one question I receive a lot. Okay, the short answer we do support Cardano on the Ledger hardware wallet. So you can manage your private keys and your funds through the Ledger hardware wallet itself. What you are probably asking, and the reason I suppose it's upvoted so much is when will we support Cardano directly within the Ledger Live interface so you can manage your account and stake easily. This is something we're looking at. I unfortunately cannot give you a proper ETA, but we do understand that the community is asking for it. So at some point, we'll do it for sure.
Awesome. Second, next question from Bilal is asking, does Ledger have plans to support Ethereum 2.0 staking?
Good question. Oh, it's a tricky question. Ethereum 2.0, you cannot do what I explained about delegation. So that's really something a bit tricky. If you really want to stake on Ethereum 2, you have to run the infra yourself or find someone who does it for you. But in this case, it brings a lot of complexity. So the short answer is we will not offer short-term a way to stake your ETH on ETH2 directly, but there are solutions that exist out there. There is something called liquid staking through Lido. It's a way to still be incentivized with the Ethereum 2 staking mechanism while not running the infrastructure yourself. So we are looking into this, and stay tuned. Yeah, it's going to happen sooner than later.
Also, Fabrice, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there is a minimum number of Ether coins you need to hold to stake. I think it's 32.
Yeah, exactly. If you really want to stake, be the staker, be the one running the validator node on the Ethereum 2 blockchain, the beacon chain. You need to have 32 ETH, which is kind of a lot. Okay, the entry, the price barrier for entries is quite high. But for instance, with Lido or other systems like Stakewise, you can definitely enter the same mechanism without having to have 32 ETH. So there are some ways around this, I would say. But if you want to be a true staker, yeah, it's a bit complex still.
Amazing. Next one, I'll jump to Federico. How does a staking pool work?
Okay. The staking pool would be kind of like a mining pool. If I want to try to find an analogy, a mining pool, everyone gets together. Each of us, we don't have a lot of computing power, but together we're strong. And in the end, if we all go together, we can compete with some of the big miners or players from the mining industry. Staking pool is kind of the same. Let's see, we have not enough money, each of us to stake. So I have 1 ETH, Reda has 1 ETH, and you guys have some ETH, and we all go together, and somehow, in what I hope a cryptographically secure way, we put all our funds together and we stake. So that would be kind of the way I would explain staking pools. But then this concept may vary from one blockchain to another. So it's important to check in detail.
Amazing. This next one, I think we maybe touched on, but just maybe you can clear it up. So how does one purchase one of these lottery tickets to buy a stake?
Oh, well, you have several ways of doing this. So one example. Okay. For instance, Tezos is a proof of stake blockchain. If you want to have this lottery ticket, you have to buy some XTZ token. So you can buy them on exchange. You can probably buy some through Ledger Live directly. So it's always possible to find the underlying cryptocurrency. When I said lottery ticket, I hope I was clear. It's just an image. You don't have to buy an actual. Yeah. In fact, the lottery ticket is the token of the underlying blockchain. So XTZ on Tezos, Atom on Cosmos, DOT on Polkadot, ETH on Ether. So it's on Ethereum. It's really the more tokens from the underlying blockchain you own, the more chance you may have to be selected as the one making the next block.
Makes perfect sense. The next one comes from Alex. So countries like China have a firewall to filter their internet. How is blockchain remaining under the radar? And will this continue, or will they find a way to block the blockchain? No pun intended.
It's a good question. Well, it's a matter of IP and hiding yourself. But let's take an example. I can run a Bitcoin node behind behind Tor, so I'm completely off the grid. But let's be honest, if really a government wants to find me, there is probably ways to do it. So in the end, if really China wants to block everything blockchain related, I would not try to fight it, first of all, and probably just move to another jurisdiction where mining and blockchain is encouraged is probably the easiest option.
Okay, and we'll have our final question from Nina. Will proof of stake overtake proof of work eventually when more coins?
I don't know if it's because more coins will be launched. Right now, we are in this stage where all coins are competing still. Eventually, I suspect there will be maybe not a clear winner, but there will be at least one winner that takes most of the liquidity. Does it mean that we will forget completely proof of work? Sorry, I don't know. I don't hope we will, because if we just look at history, proof of work is 10 years old. Proof of stake is fairly new. Maybe we have to wait a bit more just to be sure that all these game theories are actually working on the field. We know for a fact Bitcoin is secure, it's working, and the more miners there is and the more hashing power there is, the more security there is. For proof of stake, Okay, I would say it's very much advanced. A lot of progress has been made, but it's still a work in progress, and we're still trying to find, the industry is still trying to find the best model. And maybe there is not one best model, so maybe there will be many currencies competing, but maybe there will one that will go above the others.
That's amazing. And that is a wrap. We are 1 minute over time, but it should be fine. That was incredibly helpful. Fabrice, thank you so much for joining us, for all your amazing explanations on behalf of me, Finimize, and the Finimize community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Thank you, everyone. We hope you found that useful. Thanks again, Fabrice, and have an amazing evening, and see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.